I want to get her another dog, a brother, another golden, named Billy. You're so cute. I want to cry. She's so cute. Hi guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. It's your girl here, Krissy Cela, and in today's video, I'm super excited for this video because I know it's been... I'm super excited for this video because I know it's been one that's been hyper requested and one that can be a little bit confusing at times. In today's YouTube video, we're going to be discussing what progressive overload truly is, but in a more simplified term. So if you find this video useful or helpful, please leave a thumbs up, but also send it to someone. And remember, comment down below to show some support. Without further ado, let's get into it. So what is progressive overload? Now remember, all my YouTube videos are super simplified, and the reason being is because I just think working out and training can be really overwhelming, and then the last thing you want is all these scientific terms. So if you do want to read up on any articles, or if you do want any books that have helped me reference this YouTube videos, I'm going to list them all in the description box. So if you fancy a more deeper read, then definitely check that out. So in a nutshell, progressive overload is doing more over time. Your body is super smart, so it adapts to things. So if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, well, you're not going to progress. If you're going to the gym and doing the same routine over and over again and not intensifying your workouts, not challenging yourself, or even progressively overloading, then you're going to be stuck in a plateau. So that's essentially what it means. What progressive overload is not, is just about you racking up the weight and lifting as much as you possibly can. Now that might be one element, but it's not the only element. If your goal is power and strength training, then your rep range will be different. You're going to start off with a rep range of, let's say, either 1 max rep or 4 to 6 reps. Your load is going to be significantly more than someone who is hypertrophy training. So that moves me on now to hypertrophy. And what is it? Hypertrophy is basically you gaining more and more muscle over time. So your rep range is going to be different to power and strength training. So your rep range here is going to be anything between 8 to 12 reps. And then you have muscular endurance. Muscular endurance, your rep range is going to be anything between 12 to 15 reps and sometimes exceeding it depending on what you're trying to achieve. Now this means your load is going to be different. Someone who is strength training for power versus muscular endurance is going to be lifting a different load. The reason being is the more you lift will differ how many reps you can do. So how do you lift more? And how do you apply this principle of progressive overload? Now it can be super intimidating and scary when you're going to the gym and you feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. Maybe you're not progressing because you don't know how much to progress to. Maybe you're not progressing because actually weights are kind of terrifying and you don't know if you're doing it right. So number one, and the most important thing I want you to focus on, is actually ensuring that your form is intact. Now remember, this is something that just needs to be said. If you are a power lifter and you are training for pure power, your form is going to be a little bit different to someone who is basing their workouts on hypertrophy and muscular endurance. So please remember to keep your goal in mind and what you want to achieve. With that being said, form is absolutely everything. So it's all fair and well you lifting as much as you can, but if your form is pretty much effing up whilst you're doing it, then you're going to cause yourself much more injuries and much more damage than any form of good. So how do you know how to lift more and what's the principle to apply? So to make it really, really simple for you, let's say you're doing a back squat on a Monday at 50 kg. And you're hitting a rep range of 10 to 12 comfortably. Now you're doing the same weight back squat on Thursday, and yet again you're hitting the same rep range, 10 to 12 comfortably. Note how I'm using the word comfortable, because it's not challenging you. Now, we're not talking about complete failure where you feel sick and you want to throw up. I'm talking about you really pushing yourself and really struggling to get maybe 2 reps left in the tank. Now, this is an indication that the weight is actually way too comfortable for you and it's time for you to progress. So I would encourage you to progress your weight by 2.5 to 10% max. So if you're doing a 50 kg back squat, then the max you should progress to is, let's say, 5 kg next time you do it. So this is a good indication that now is time for you to challenge yourself. But what this also means is actually you might not be able to get 12 reps. you might only be able to get 8 or max 9 reps. So remember, rep ranges are a really great indication. So yes, on the Tone and Sculpt app, my strong program, let's say I've given you 4 sets of 10 reps. Really what I'm trying to say is try and aim for a rep range of 8 to 10 reps. So that's really what you should try and be hitting. Each and every single time, you should try and challenge yourself and get out of your comfort zone. Another important principle to take into consideration is that everybody's lives are different. Someone could be dedicating their whole entire life to training, whereas someone else is working 9 to 5, is rushing around, doesn't have sufficient amount of time. So that is an important factor as well to consider. So you can't compare someone's chapter 10 to your chapter 1. So always keep that in mind. The second thing is really what you're eating. Are they nutritionally dense? Is it high protein enough? Are you replenishing your muscles each and every single time you are training? So that's another indication. Are you sleeping well enough? No broken sleep, really recovering, really recharging. These factors are super important. And also, other things that maybe not a lot of people talk about is, well, some people are natural, some people are not. Some people have better genetics than others. Some people are taller. Some people have more energy. All these things play in massive significant factors to how much you can lift. So please never feel disheartened. You are on your own journey. You are on your own path. But I encourage you to get out of your comfort zone. The next point is about frequency. Now, everybody's frequency of training will be completely different. If you're a beginner and this is your first time you're ever training, your frequency is going to be different to, let's say, an elite athlete. What I mean by that is, as a beginner, I would encourage maybe you training 2 to 3 times a week. But let's say an elite athlete could end up training 2 times a day. It's completely different, and that's because their bodies have adapted. Their bodies have progressed, and that's why they need different types of frequencies. You can technically train 7 days a week, but it depends how you are recovering. And it depends what type of training you are doing. So for example, if you are someone whose sole objective is just to move their body and they don't have any other objectives such as hypertrophy, which is gaining more muscle, such as power training, or even improving their stamina. If you are going for an active recovery walk on a Monday, let's say, for 30 minutes, but then you're doing yoga on a Tuesday, then you're doing strength training on a Wednesday, and your workouts completely vary, then you can technically train 7 days a week. But if you are focusing your complete goal on hypertrophy and strength training, you're gonna need a lot more recovery because it's a lot of stress on the body, especially if you are progressively overloading. So remember, frequency will vary on people completely. Sometimes I need to train 6 days a week because, well, I haven't progressed as much in the gym and I have a little bit more fuel in the tank. But other sessions and other weeks, I've pushed myself to limits and I can only technically train 3 to 4 times a week. It really depends on the intensity of the workout, depends on the frequency of workouts that you need in that week. But as a ballpark figure, to make it really simple for you, if you are a complete beginner, then really 2 to 3 sessions a week. If you are intermediate to advanced, then I would suggest 4 to 5 sessions a week. If you are an expert, then maybe you're going to need 6 to 7 days a week, depending on the intensity of the workout and depending on how well you are recovering.
The next form of progressive overload we're going to discuss is intensity. Now remember what I keep on saying, progressive overload is truly about challenging yourself. So remember, your body is super clever. It adapts to things very quickly, and that's why you need to challenge yourself constantly. So a great way to do so is intensifying your workouts. So ways you can do this is supersetting. A superset is combining 2 exercises that you perform one after the other with little to no rest. A triset is also very similar to a superset, but instead of 2 exercises, you're incorporating 3 exercises. So for example, for a superset, you can combine a back squat with a jumping squat. That's a superset. You're performing 2 exercises, one after the other, with little to no rest. What is this doing? It is intensifying your workout and it's challenging you in different ways. Another way to intensify your workout is volume training. This is about the rep ranges you're using. Maybe you can incorporate German volume training, which is basically performing an exercise for 10 reps, 10 sets. You can imagine you're going to feel quite exhausted after that session. So remember, intensity is absolute key, and it will vary depending on who you are. So if you're a beginner, maybe intensity shouldn't necessarily be your focus just yet. But if you're someone who is advanced or an expert, then intensity is going to really be your best friend. Intensifying your workout is also reducing the time that you are waiting to perform your next set. So instead of waiting for 2 minutes, you can now wait maybe for 60 seconds. So it completely varies. But remember, intensity is also based on the goals that you are trying to achieve. So if you are a power trainer, if your focus is powerlifting and strength training, then really reducing the rest and recovery rate is not going to be beneficial to you, because you actually need more rest and recovery. But if your focus is on muscular endurance, then really reducing the time you recover is going to be your best friend to intensify that workout. So intensity is one way that you can progressively overload. So there you have it, my simplified version on what progressive overload means, how to apply it to your workouts and also your goals. Now please remember, every single body is different. The way you use progressive overload will be different depending on your goals. The way people progressively overload and progress in the gym or at home is going to be different to how maybe you progress in the gym or at home. Every single person you meet has a different journey, so please try your best not to compare. As easy as it is for me to say that, it's going to be the best advice I give you in this video. My chapter 20 is different to your chapter 5 and different to someone else's chapter 50. So remember, challenge yourself. That is the most important thing you can do. Always try and do better and be better. Thank you so much for watching. I truly hope you found this video beneficial, and I truly hope that you apply it. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I'll see you next time for another video. Bye.